Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky clear. Temperature 4. Dew point -4. QNH 1025. Transition level flight level 040. Advise on initial contact. You have information with egg.
Well, welcome to the video everybody. I'm Grantham CCT and today we're in the Beechcraft Baron 58, just out here on the General Aviation Parking at Newquay Airport in the southwest of England. We're out here currently undergoing a engine heat up because the CHT was about 4 degrees, which is way too cool. Thankfully though, we got it plugged in and it is in fact heating our engines up. So within a matter of time it's going to be sorted, and what an incredible day, what an incredible plane. Laminar has seriously improved this over the last few months, and with the reality expansion pack, which is what I'm using today, it feels a lot better, let's put it that way. As I say, Laminar did a fantastic job, but the REP really adds a whole new dynamic. Anyway, I've just been listening to the ATIS information, as you can tell, so we have our information on board. We're probably not going to use ATC for this flight. The purpose of today's flight is going to be NDB Approach, and we're going to do it at this airport. So, if we have a look at our charts, we can see the airport for Newquay, or Newquay Airport, and we can see the NDB Approach for runway 12. So we'll be at 3,000 feet, and then we'll come in at the so when we depart we'll be on a course of 120. We're going to do a U-turn back to the NDB. When we get to the NDB, we wait for the arrow to point away from the NDB in the opposite direction. So when we head in that direction there, we'll be on a course of probably 279. So if we pre-select that now, 279, then when the arrow's pointing towards it, that means we're heading into the NDB station, and then when it goes past us and we go past it, it'll flip, and then we'll go the opposite direction on a course of 289. Since there's no timings on this NDB, I'm going to put it at either 3 minutes or 6 nautical miles, whichever comes first. And then maximum speed to 10. Afterwards we'll come down from 3,500 feet on the NDB, descending down on a course of 289 to about 2,000 feet. As I say, 6 miles, nautical miles, or 3 minutes timing. There's no timing provided, so I will make my own for this. And then we'll do a right hand turn as required by the approach for a 120 again. And then if we need to go around, we can just do the same process in the figure of 8 pattern if we need to. As you can see though, the map has a lot of objects on it. These are wind farms, and it's going to be great to see those in X-Plane 12 because I haven't really seen many. I hope this is useful to people, and I will talk through some of the process. So actually what I'm going to do is start the battery, and I'm going to turn the NDB on. NDB thing here, ADF receiver, so we can tune the frequencies. So battery's coming on, and
102.
avionics.
Transition level flight level 0.
Let's just turn the ATIS off a moment. So we want a 347. We're almost tuned at that. And as you can see now, the arrow is pointing towards the NDB station, which is really useful. We may as well set our course for the departure runway, which is going to be on a course of 120 again. And then of course we'll do the left hand turn, and it will tell you the departure. So let's assume we were going to go around. We would climb to 2,500 feet, initially straight ahead and passing 1,500 feet, or the DME to 3 nautical miles, whichever is later. Turn left to the NDB at 2,500. So I guess on departure we could go, that gives us a bit more of a reference then. So 120 will climb up to 2,500, but when we're at 1,500 feet we'll make that left hand turn to the NDB. That's pretty good, guys. That's a pretty good plan. Any questions, let me know in the chat. I really enjoy flying the NDB approaches. It's not something that pilots do a lot nowadays, either for real or in the simulator, and it's a great opportunity to practice using the ADF receiver and using your navigational skills. Just be aware you might have to adjust the ADF or heading over here, the NDB heading, so it's on your current course. Anyway, course is set for 120, so let's set the heading then for the course of 289. which will be our post NDB heading. So 25, 26, 27, 28. I'm assuming that's right. And then 29 is there, so 289 is there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get that heater off. I think the CHT probably has warmed up. Avionics come back off for the engine start. CHT is, let's just check maintenance. 6 degrees, we're good to go. Only 2 degrees needed there to actually get the engines prepared for startup. By the way, everybody, the walkaround that I'm using at the moment is not the one included. There is no actual proper walkaround included with the reality expansion pack, so yeah, this is a separate thing that I'm using to do this. This is not from the store, by the way. Let's get this heater disconnected. So you can go here, click stop, and there we go. So we're heated up at 6 degrees. We better get going. Batteries and alternators on. The door is secure. What am I looking for? So fuel, we don't really need much. It's just me on board. I changed the weight and balance. So it's just me there, and you know, an estimate, modest estimate, 75. That's actually quite a lot. It used to be 70, I think, was the average. Anyway, we want the... I'm going to do mixtures fully rich on both today. Props fully forward. We're going to go for number 1 engine start first. So let's prime it. We'll turn our boost pump on. Wait for the fuel peak. Turn it off. You got to be cautious here, everyone, not to overflow it. The Baron is pretty quick at boosting its fuel flow around the system, so no need to overdo it. I'm going to prepare magneto, clear prop, and clear visually as well. Confirm the magneto is coming alive, and then what we're going to do is turn it on and make sure we got our pedal brakes pressed. Rather than use the parking brake, sometimes it can be a little bit temperamental on the REP. Successful engine start number 1. That was pretty easy. That was actually really easy. It came to life without any issues. This is this symbol here, this black line, it just means the props aren't synced, which is fine. You will notice on the reality expansion pack, you probably have to keep the left throttle slightly below the right, but Honeycomb, which I'm using, sort of already does that for you. So if you put them both into idle, you'll notice that the left one is slightly lower than the right one, and that's probably a design choice by Honeycomb, so well done to them for that added propeller realism difference. Electric trim is good. Manual trim is not the best on the Honeycomb. It doesn't really have that much an effect in the actual plane, so let's go for a number 2 start. In fact, we will prime this as well. So peak fuel flow, it looks like it's about 7 or an 8. Clear propeller number 2. Small amount of ignition required, really. Cool, so the aircraft has actually undergone some maintenance recently. I had an accident and my propeller broke somehow. I had a bird strike in the Beechcraft Baron REP pack, and yeah, so I wasn't expecting to have a bird strike, and it was quite frightening. The engines failed just as I was coming to land on the right side, but then I came down land and I thought it was going to break the engine, but it actually broke the propeller and bent it, and then I spent £2,000. In this game the currency is in dollars, but I'm going to use pounds because I'm British, so about £2,000 for the new right hand propeller there. Anyway, let's get our taxi lights on. I haven't really planned the route to the runway yet, so let's do that now. I'm assuming we're over here. We haven't got any markings on this actual thing. Runway 12 will be off to the... At least now we know Alpha is there, which is the correct place. We're going right past the terminal as well. So guys, keep the NDB approach in mind. Remember what we've got to do. So 2,500, and then we'll turn left, and then on the course of 289, and we'll head towards the NDB arrow, the yellow one. until it flips, and then we'll continue round at 28.9 for again just 3 minutes or maybe 6 nautical miles, and then we'll descend down to 2000 for the final turn of 120. By the way, this turn here will be I think about 20 degrees is a good estimate. Okay, cool, we're ready to go. So props are fully on, avionics are on. We're going to need this for the ADF. Transponders just stand by. We're squawking VFR even though we're doing a instrument approach, I guess. ADF is on. Don't forget to switch it to ADF, everyone, so it shows on the yellow arrow. Foot brakes released. Quick flight control check. We got ailerons, we got elevators. Very responsive on the controls today. And of course up on the left and the right side too. I'll see you at the runway, guys. Alright, we're holding point Alpha 1 for runway 12. We're going to go ahead and do a engine warm up. Now the reality expansion pack, as I mentioned in my sort of preliminary review, let's make sure the parking brake works. That also tends to have issues on the REP pack. Yeah, as I mentioned on my mini review, the REP pack checklist is incorrect in places, and I don't think a real pilot would get it wrong. The reason is it's quite an obvious error, and it's not something that should be on the checklist. So we go here to engine run up. I'm going to show you what I mean. So before takeoff, so as you can see, so the real world one that the checklist that I use for the real world and the real world checklist I have isn't the same as this, and this is incorrect. So I feel confident saying that the as you can see for the engine run up, it's suggesting we should use 2200 RPM to start. Now you all know that it shouldn't be above, if you've watched my streams, it shouldn't be above 1200 RPM before 24C. We're just about 24C, but even then you would only go to 1500 initially, then 1700, and then 2200. So this has it in the wrong order. It's a glaring error, and it is a little bit off topic for this video, but I think it's worth pointing out. Do not do it in that order. 2200 RPM to start is going to blow up your engines if you're not got it warmed enough. It should be in the green by the time it's at 2200, so you should start 15, 17, and then 2200. So do it the opposite way around. There's also other things missing off that checklist. Personally, though, I don't use the RP checklist. Let's go 1500 on the RPM. We're going to use these two dials here for this run up. No need for the weather radar today, thanks Lamadar. Taxi lights can come off for this. And we're going to do another run up to, well, we're going to do a quick prop exercise and see what happens. Not much, to be honest. 1700 there. I'm going to check the magnetos and pitot heat, so check each one at a time. I'm also going to check all the anti-ice, if there's any noticeable drops. Okay, left engine, so about 50 RPM drop there on the magneto. Just make sure I get this right, guys, so I don't skip anything. Yeah, about 50 to 75, and we do the same for the right engine. Okay, so they're within limits of each other, which is great. That's pretty much the run up on 1700. I wouldn't even bother feathering limit. That's at that amount. You might want 2200 for the feather, and usually it's only by 200 or 300 RPM. 200 are the absolute most, I'd say, and then you're good to go. There we go. So feather one. As you can see, it automatically sort of bounces back from 1900 if you go too far. Should do it enough to feel the drop though, so you can feel the change in the pressure and things. So we'll reduce those back to idle, check the dead running, and then it goes back up to 1,000. Any lights are coming on, transponder 2 on. Don't need pitos, we got everything else on, we're clear. We don't have any lights or signals from the tower. The windsock down the other end is... There's a windsock somewhere, there it is. It's giving us a wind from the left hand side. Let's go ahead and taxi to the active and depart. Two 2,500 feet, and then we'll cross the NDB at 3,500. Cool, so it's pointing in the right direction to the runway. Let's just change that on the NDB. So that'll be our course 289. Let's get going. Full throttle. Rotate. Positive brake gear coming up. Close the cowl flap, stick the yaw damper on. As you can see, climbing really fast. What do we have on winds here? 25 knots, not too bad. Remember, it'll be a left-hand turn, everybody. Left-hand turn at 2,500 feet. We're almost there. Let's reduce the props back a little bit to 2,500. And the NDB arrow is in fact pointing in the other direction, so 2,500. We'll continue climbing to 3,500 whilst we head towards the NDB. I'm just going to reduce those props back a little bit more. Now we're approaching our altitude. Very steep turns, so I wouldn't recommend doing it more than 30 degrees. I'm probably banking way too much on this. So there's the airport below, we can see that. When the NDB flips, we'll go on a course of 289, which is pre-selected on our heading. Let's just reduce the manifold. So the NDB is flipped, which means we're going to do a 289 on the heading. We're going to maintain this altitude. $210 max. It's not a problem for the Baron, although you might struggle in a jet. And we're a little bit over the altitude, so 3,500, and then we'll descend. When we get on the course of 289, which should be any second now, we'll descend as per the chart to about 2,000 feet. There's the course, 289, so we're going to set the timer. Now I just realised we can't really measure the distance from the ADF, so we're going to use the timer as 3 minutes. We'll maintain our current heading and probably slow down a bit as well. As you can see though, the REP makes the Baron, default Baron, a lot more stable than it actually is. We've got the course set to the 289, which is the direction we're going, which is correct, and then when we do our U-turn at 3 minutes to 120 again, we will change this to face 120 for the runway course. Let me turn the game down a bit. Let's descend as well, so I'm going to use the manifold to descend this time. A little bit off course, but I think a few degrees will not hurt us in this situation. Just as long as we get those timings right, and of course it'll give us time to descend to 2,000 feet as well. I've kept the landing lights on for this procedure. Right, there's 2,500. We'll prepare to level off, so I'm going to just increase the manifold. We'll keep the props where they are. Again, just slightly off course. Let's check the timing. So about 3 minutes. I'm going to go on our inbound course now to a course of 120. Use a maximum probably 20 degrees of bank, although we probably should be doing 30 because we're so close to the airport. Okay, there's the runway. Let's get our speed reduced as we turn to final. Full flaps. Let's get our flaps up and our trim neutralized. I'm going to backtrack, runway 12. Taxi lights on, landing lights off. I'm going to debrief at the end here and discuss what we've done, and hopefully you will understand better how to fly this kind of approach. It's not as hard as you think, everyone. It's a lot of fun to do. And actually you have to rely on the visual quite a lot, unless you fly it at night. And if you do fly it at night, like me, you will probably fly it with a lot more care. Zero. Mixture's cut off. The beacon, I'm going to turn everything off: beacons, prop sinks, because we're doing a full shutdown, and of course magnetos. Then to summarize, we've done the NDB. So again, we depart 2,500, 120, and then turn to the NDB left-hand turn. Continued in the Baron to finish off. But thank you. I hope this helps somebody to fly the approach better. Take care.